Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be on you. Dear watchers, dear viewers, my dear brothers and sisters, thank you once again for joining this special series by Safir TV on Hajj. Yes, that journey of a lifetime. My name is Ali Hassan and I'm joined with our Hajj specialist, Sheikh Ayoub. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Do you know what we're going to talk about today? We're going to talk about them. That's right, you. Are you able to go on Hajj for someone else? Interesting topic, isn't it?
Indeed.
And of course, I'm going to need help with that because I don't know the answers. Okay, so here's a scenario for you. I am, let's say, eligible to go to Hajj, but I would also like to go for a deceased family member of mine. What comes first? What should I do? I don't know.
So let me get this correct.
Yeah.
You are able to go for Hajj.
Yes.
Financially ability and all.
Mental ability, spiritual ability, all sorts of abilities are there for me to go. Yeah, and I'm physically fit. Not right now, but I will be inshallah very soon.
Inshallah. And you want to do Hajj on behalf of someone else.
Yes, it's come to my understanding that obviously this is a scenario, it's an example, that I should perform Hajj for a deceased individual, a family member of mine who's not able to, which I really, really want to. What should I do in this scenario?
Okay, so according to the law of Hajj, once you become able, financially and all the abilities are there, it's obligatory upon you to go for Hajj for yourself.
Right.
So you start first. When you have performed your Hajj, then next year or years to come, you can do Hajj on behalf of other people.
Okay.
That Hajj on behalf of other people, this is the one which is known as Hajj Niyabah. Niyabah or Niyabat for people like who speak Urdu and other languages. You do on behalf of other people.
Sure.
But the answer is you have to start to do yours and then you can do for other people next year or years to come.
Sure. Well, that's pretty straightforward. So if a person is eligible, meets the criteria, he or she goes first without performing it for others. But because we're on the topic of performing Hajj for others, here's another example. What if this individual, previously I said this individual that you wanted to do it for was deceased? No, this person is very much alive. They are actually financially able to do so, but there's other conditions they're not able to meet. For example, their health. And they know for the coming years now, they will not be able to participate in a pilgrimage.
Yeah.
In that scenario, is this individual able to ask someone else to do it for them?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
May Allah keep them healthy, inshallah. But if they cannot perform Hajj, they cannot travel because of their conditions, here they have to assign someone to go for Hajj on their behalf. And this clears our mind, and it is an important question, that sometimes when we talk about performing Hajj on behalf of someone else, people may think that, oh, it's only when someone passes away.
Yes.
Then other people can go and do Hajj on behalf of deceased.
Sure.
But no, there are cases where someone who is alive, but because of health issues cannot go, then definitely they can assign someone to go to perform Hajj on their behalf.
Okay, I have another one forming in my mind. I'm trying to calculate it so I deliver it properly. Let's say this individual is perfectly fine, perfectly capable health-wise. Financially, they're not in the greatest of positions. However, they, let's say, found a deal that they can get someone else to perform a Hajj on their behalf for a much less price as compared to how much they would have spent if they went themselves. What about that scenario? Are they able to get somebody else to do it because they know that they'll never earn enough, but they found someone who's willing to, I don't know, give them a massive discount, for example. What about in that scenario?
We go back to the same issues. Are they categorized as people who have the ability financially? Yes or no? If the answer is no, even if someone may say, okay, I will give you some sort of help for you to go for Hajj, it's not wajib upon them. So they shouldn't do something to cause trouble to themselves if the ability is not there. They should wait until when everything is okay, they can go for Hajj, inshallah.
The key word here is ability. Obviously,
Indeed.
that's a big topic. This is why we had a previous discussion on this fully.
Sure.
Brothers and sisters, please do watch those episodes again to make sure you really grasp these ideas, inshallah. We've been talking about obligatory Hajj and having someone else perform an obligatory, a mandatory Hajj. But what about recommended mustahab Hajjs? Are you able to get somebody else to perform a mustahab Hajj on your behalf?
Sure. But here, let's go back to this particular individual who goes for Hajj on behalf of other people. We have mentioned that he has to perform Hajj for himself, number one, in order for him to perform Hajj on other people on behalf, Niyabah.
Sure.
So if it happens that now he has performed the Hajj, now people want him to go to do Hajj, which is recommended. And when we talk about mustahab, we talk about recommended Hajj. So let's say I went for Hajj last year.
Sure.
Now I want to go this year, but however, because of my busy schedule, I cannot. So this year is my recommended Hajj. It's not obligatory. I have done. Once you do once time.
Because you've ticked the box.
Indeed.
Yes.
So yes, you can assign someone to go to do recommended Hajj for you, and
multiple times even.
Multiple times.
Okay.
By the way, when we talk, for example, about Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam, he went Hajj, according to historians, at least 19 or 20 times.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But those times when he went, only one is wajib.
Right.
The rest were recommended.
Sure.
And he went walking from Makkah to Medina and back from Medina to Makkah, Makkah to Medina.
Wow.
So when we talk about our Imam alayhi salam, when it comes to recommended acts, we shouldn't take them as very light. No, it's a serious business which you want to go closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yes, you can go assign someone to do recommended Hajj. You can do for yourself, you can do for your parents, you can do for your scholars, for example, mujtahidina, maraji. You can do for anyone.
Sure.
Recommended Hajj, it's fine.
So, wow, I didn't know that about Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and that just goes to show how important recommended acts are, because we do take them lightly, let's be honest, we as a community. Thank you for answering that. Now let's talk about who is eligible to actually do that. I know you've already said that the person who's going to be performing Hajj on someone else, on behalf of someone else, they have to have their obligatory Hajj ticked off already. What other qualities should this person possess in order for them to be eligible to help someone out like that?
Sure. So the person who goes on Niyabah, first of all, as we have said, if we have finished discussing about the abilities,
sure,
now we need to look at the knowledge. Does he know Masail of Hajj, like what we are discussing now? Because as we can see, there are a lot of things he or she needs to know in order for him to go to perform this particular Hajj on behalf of other people.
Sure.
Also, now we talk about every issue in terms of time, in terms of him being able to be there on all those places at the right particular time, and he needs to be there. And of course, on top of this, there is something which he needs to be someone who we can say a good Muslim.
Okay.
Of course, when we talk about a good Muslim, he does his wajibat.
Sure.
He avoids his muharramat, he doesn't do muharramat.
And obviously, if somebody's offered to go on Hajj, which is not easy, as we will obviously discuss further in detail down the road, if somebody's offering to do that, they must be a good individual.
Indeed.
They must have strong iman.
Indeed.
It makes sense.
So we need to look at that particular aspect.
Okay. So, for example, going down to the basics. So I take it, obviously, this individual has performed their obligatory Hajj already. So they've already, again, just kind of counting down what you said previously, they've already reached the age of puberty. They're past that. They are of sane mind. They obviously have the faith. They're Muslims already. And he does not have to perform an obligatory Hajj. Is there anything I missed out so far? Is it more than that? Is it just these few points?
These are the key issues, key points which we need to look at. Maybe one thing which is important for us to mention here, when someone goes on behalf of someone else, if, let's say, I go on behalf of someone, it doesn't need for that someone I'm representing to be on the same gender. So a male can go to do Hajj on behalf of a female.
You actually took my next question.
Oh,
no, fantastic.
and of course, a female can go on behalf of a male.
Right, that's so important to know. I mean, it's actually quite logical. It's common sense, but some people may have objections. I don't know why. It's probably cultural, but so any person it can be male or female, whoever you're representing.
Indeed.
And again, this could be this person's deceased or these individuals are still alive. But of course, the certain criteria or conditions dictate that they get someone else to do it. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
So for a female, a male can do it as well. And for a male, a female can do it as well?
Indeed.
Wow.
Indeed.
Yes,
they can do
I kind
that.
of hesitated when I finished
Yeah,
that.
no, they can do that. And one thing which makes me to remember on this particular point is that when we talk about wajib Hajj and mustahab Hajj, so wajib Hajj you need to do on behalf of one particular individual only.
Right, okay.
Because it's wajib.
Right.
Someone has assigned you to go. This is obligatory Hajj. You do only for that particular individual.
Okay.
Being a male or female, it doesn't matter. But recommended Hajj, you can do for many people.
Oh.
So you go on behalf of the whole family, on behalf of
That's very good. Okay.
the certain number of people.
I thought the ratio was 1-on-1.
Indeed, because it's wajib. It's obligatory
but
Hajj.
recommended.
Recommended you can do for many people.
Yeah. You could go for your entire village.
Indeed. But however, the intention is very important.
Okay.
From the beginning, when we discuss about step by step on Masail of Hajj, we'll make sure, inshallah, we make clear the issue of intention. So if you go on behalf of many people, start whatever act of Hajj you're going to do, renew your intention to say that I'm doing on behalf of them, because this is recommended.
Sure.
If it is obligatory, on behalf of him or on behalf of her.
You said niyyah or intention is actually requires another discussion. It's another discussion point, and it requires another episode. But very basic. If I ask you, do they have to verbally announce that? Or you know how when we read salah, we read namaz, we don't have to verbally say it, right? We just, in our heads, we say it and we know ourselves. Does it have to be like that, or is it completely different for Hajj?
No. Any act which involves intention, any act of worship, you have to do it with intention. Qurbatan ilallah. I'm doing this act of worship in order for me to be closer to Allah. Okay. I'm doing for the sake of Allah.
You're doing it for somebody, but you're still doing it for the sake of Allah. You're still wanting to report to Allah. That's your act of devotion towards Allah.
Sure.
That you're helping another individual. That's the niyyah.
Indeed. Okay. However, you don't need to say it.
You need to say it.
You don't need. Once you know what you're doing.
Of course.
So let's say if someone asks you in the middle of, let's say you're doing tawaf around Al-Kaaba, and they say, oh, Hassan, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You should be aware of what you're doing. So you say, I'm doing tawaf. Is this yours or for on behalf of someone? You say, no, on behalf of someone.
Something just came to mind.
Yeah.
Can more than one person do Hajj for the same individual or individuals, depending on the type of Hajj you're doing? For example, if an individual is able to do half of the Hajj and the rituals of Hajj, but there's other rituals, another portion of it, for example, I don't know, throwing stones. They're not able to for whatever reason. Can someone else take over? Sort of like tag team?
Very good question regarding Niyabah, doing on behalf of other people.
Okay.
Yes. So sometimes you can do the complete Hajj, whether it is wajib or recommended on behalf of someone or some people.
Okay.
But other time you can go while you are there, someone you went Hajj with, and then he couldn't do some actions or some performance of acts of Hajj.
Okay.
You can represent them. You can do acts of worship of Hajj on their behalf.
Right.
So, for example, someone couldn't walk because walking to Jamarat to throw stones is very far.
Okay.
He has some conditions. You can take their stones and you can go and stone on their behalf.
Okay.
So you can do indeed.
They did one portion of the pilgrimage, and then they sort of, in my words, pass the baton over to another individual who has the same intention. They know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and then they go continue with the other portion of Hajj, and that's completely acceptable.
Indeed.
That is so interesting. Sheikh, thank you so much.
Most
That
welcome.
is the end of this episode.
Alhamdulillah.
But my dear brothers and sisters, of course, you know what I'm going to say. There's many more to come. We've just scratched the surface. Next episode is all about your preparation for Hajj, inshallah. So until next time, Assalamu alaikum.